to all A-League affairs to start the Hahn Australia Cup round of 16. It's time to see which NPL outfit will be the first to qualify for the quarterfinals. Lakeside Stadium, the setting for a match that pits one of the country's most iconic clubs against one still writing its fledgling history as South Melbourne host Fremantle City. South still basking in the glory of upsetting A-League opposition 10 days ago. A 22-year dose of revenge against Adelaide United dished out in style. And if they set up a date in the final 8 tonight, more happy Hellas memories, or they could well be on the way. A big show battle with the Preston Lions or Brunswick Juventus would await in the next round. Their opponents, Fremantle City, they enjoyed a similar slice of cup magic on their round of 32 debut. 2 goals in the final 2 minutes to seal a classic City comeback. And WA NPL's first ever cup away win on the road to Maitland FC. It's undoubtedly a taller task that awaits tonight. But Fremantle City are hoping to go where no WA NPL side has ever been before and reach the Australia Cup quarterfinals. The driving rain in Melbourne, the windy and wet conditions haven't dampened the enthusiasm for a red-hot round of 16 fixture. The home side, South Melbourne, will be hoping to stamp their authority and reach the quarterfinals once again, just as they did the last time they beat A-League opposition in 2024, going all the way to the semis before being knocked out by Macarthur 1 game away from the final. It's the 45th game, or 46th game rather, of a marathon season for South, competing both in NPL Victoria, the Australia Cup and the inaugural OFC Pro League. Despite all that football, it is an unchanged 11 from the side that saw off Adelaide United. Marko Jankovic captaining the side on the occasion of his 31st birthday. He has scored 3 times before in the round of 16. Jack Pandaranda, the former Florian Athena fullback, will be a familiar name for WA watchers. And up top, the raging bull, Buljuach, is hunting his 5th Australia Cup goal in the space of just 7 games. It would be his first, not against an A-League opponent. Just the one change for Fremantle City, and it sees the former Melbourne Heart and Perth Glory midfielder Cam Edwards come in. His father Alistair actually scored 5 times against South in the NSL. In midfield, 289-game A-League veteran Josh Risdon is making A-League or Australia Cup appearance number 29, the 3rd most in competition history. And you can see against the subs bench there, the trio who inspired their comeback in the round of 32. Bingwa, Domfei and Akhmedov all lying in wait on the bench. 76th game in charge of South Melbourne for Sinisa Hadzic tonight, and number 74 against Adelaide United, he said was one of his happiest, if not the happiest yet. That includes a tenure that has tasted silverware with Doherty Cup and Australian Championship success. This would be quite the competition to add to his burgeoning trophy tally. Thoughts on all fronts this season. South Melbourne, runners-up, of course, in the OFC Pro League, going down to Auckland. There's Scott Miller. He'll have happy memories of Lakeside Stadium, a former player here with both the Perth Glory and the Gippsland Falcons as well. Actually scored against South Melbourne at Lakeside for Gippsland back in 1995. Joe Quartermain in charge tonight, a name well known to Victorian football aficionados. His assistants Josh Berry and Helena Paniotidis. Jack Powers, the 4th official. So 2 teams who desperately want to be the first NPL side to qualify for the quarterfinals, both in rich runs of form. Only one can get their wish as we get underway at Lakeside Stadium. Final game of this opening weekend of the round of 16 in the Hahn Australia Cup. Great to have your company for it wherever you're tuning in from. Viewers no doubt will be coming from either side of Australia and indeed hopefully across the world. Two teams who made such special respective memories and relative memories for their clubs in the round of 32. Coming back from behind to secure 2-1 victories. City may not have slain an A-League giant, but for this club who are only 11 years old in their current form, the best memories in their history, and the goals that took them there, if you haven't seen them, were sights to behold. Here's Aaron Cox for South Melbourne. Chitter in the corner up against the 18-year-old Isaiah Wingell, who was a real standout in that victory against Maitland FC. Chitter trying to turn back onto the left. Fremantle City to stab the ball away, but only for a moment. Uchida not quite able to find the feet of the on-rushing Buljuach. Attacking the end at which he scored that Australia Cup screamer to equalise against Adelaide United. The rain has not dampened the enthusiasm from the South Melbourne faithful. Supporters tonight huddled well out of the reach of the rain. There is a crowd in the vicinity of 1,500 expected this evening. Retre across for Aaron Cox. Still going is Cox, and it's an early sighter on goal for the man in his first season at South. It's been a pretty solid season indeed so far for him. 7 goals across league and OFC Pro League commitments. Defended by Isaiah Wingell. Long-time fans of the Australia Cup, erstwhile South Melbourne supporters will remember these are very similar conditions to the last time South were in the NPL, or rather Australia Cup round of 16 against NPL opposition. Of course, we're knocked out at this stage by Auckland last year, but back in 2024, a 3-2 thriller against Olympic FC in extra time, a game that was halted due to heavy weather and thunderstorms. We would love to get a game with that level of drama this evening, maybe without the delays. Painter Andrews prepping a long throw for South Melbourne. Jankovic nodding it down, but not to the advantage of a teammate. And a combination of Risdon and Chechlats able to wheel away with possession for Fremantle. Risdon, the number of A-League experience names out there tonight. You just saw another in Paulo Retre. Here is Josh Risdon. Makala finds Chechlats. He's City's star man in midfield, but he's afforded the ball rather easily back to South Melbourne. See both of these sides just still adjusting to the slippery conditions. It's not only a surface that's had a lot of rain today, but it's had its fair share of football this weekend. It was Doherty Cup Day yesterday, as that cutback is for Pasquale. Not a bad efforts from one of South Melbourne's star midfielders this season. A regular scorer of goals, Seb Pasquale, but when he does, it can be from that kind of range. He's been a revelatory player, as you might have expected him to be, coming out from 6 years in the A-League with Western United at South this season. Of course, playing his former Western teammate in Josh Risdon this evening. Cox, lively early for the home side. Pasquale with the shift for Painter Andrews. Retre to Hassan Ramazani. Speaking of revelatory signings, mid-season acquisition for South from Pro League side Vanuatu United. It's been an assured presence at the back since signing in the mid-season window. The former Brisbane Roar man. Riley Woodcock plays back to Ben Steele. Two teams who have built a brand on under their current managers. It's playing progressive, front foot and free scoring football. Scott Miller has acknowledged the scale of the challenge that awaits tonight. It isn't A-League opposition, but short of that, it's about as strong as you can get. Plenty of respect for his opponent tonight, owing to his years in the NSL, taking on South Melbourne. Cox. Stood up by the Scotsman, John Chalmers. Uchida. Painter Andrews again found in a pocket. Just afforded an opening for Riley Woodcock to dip in and exploit. Painter Andrews, a player who will be citing a few of his former West Australian teammates across the field tonight. George Fester in the centre of defence, and Nick Ambrosio, who's on the bench. That trio have previously played together in the Australia Cup for Florida Athena. Still happy to let that run to Luke Radonic. Nicely judged by Ramazani. South have conceded just the 2 goals in Ramazani's 6, now 7 games since signing. In their best patch of form all year. South 6 games undefeated. Fremantle, for their part, are 9 games since their last loss. Uchida. Still Yuki Uchida, twisting and turning the Japanese live wire, but that is easy pickings in the end for Radonic. Turned over cheaply, Pasquale. Radonic able to gather with the legs. Fancy footwork on display from Seb Pasquale. Shubakala picked up the free kick that time. Hassan Ramazani proves that he is human, does put a foot wrong. Possession-wise, it has been mostly one-way traffic so far. Fremantle have slowly found a bit of footing in the game, but this is a battle-hardened NPL team against whom they are up. It's not an NPL side who have played as many games as South Melbourne this year. 46 of the season. They are on track not just to break the record set by Heidelberg United, the cup finalists last year, 47, but absolutely smash it. Cox breaking away, letting rip. Oh, that's an absolute screamer. And on a weekend of cracking Australia Cup goals, Aaron Cox adds his name to the list. And it is a Hellas howitzer that gets the scoring going for South in the round of 16. Radonic completely wrong-footed. And Aaron Cox getting the beating of Chalmers, did not need a second invitation after that. Off the post and in. And a goal with eerie similarity to that of Buljuach in the round of 32. Is just as easy on the eye. And it is a swashbuckling way to open the scoring. They've had plenty to enjoy in recent weeks, those South Melbourne fans, and they are up and about once again. The goal of the tournaments at this rate is going to be a very hard one to pick. Nick Milanovic's fantastic free kick at Marconi Stadium last night. We saw Ben Garuccio on the half volley earlier today, and Aaron Cox has staked his claim. Here is the goal scorer. South would love to double their money quickly. Cox upended, free kick coming for South. And the lightning feet of Aaron Cox are simply proving too hot for Fremantle City to handle in the early knockings. John Chalmers in particular, who'd already been beaten by Cox in the lead up to that goal, was not about to make the same mistake. Cracking 8th of the season from Aaron Cox. And now it's Thomas Giannakopoulos standing over the free kick. What can he produce from the dead ball? Giannakopoulos straight into the wall. That's a good little clipper. Pasquale with options and flicked on by David Yu, but only into the arms of Luke Radonic. David Yu, another who has made the move from the OFC Pro League to join South Melbourne. He was actually the first transfer between two OFC Pro League teams, and unlike Hassan Ramazani, who has arrived on loan, I understand that is a permanent, potentially ongoing deal. So it may have ended in final heartbreak, that Pro League journey for South, but it's proved a valuable scouting mission for them. That time the header from you was just too close and lacking in power to trouble the keeper. Ball on a string so far. Aaron Cox, that's driven away by Cam Edwards for the first corner of the evening's action for South Melbourne. Now chanting his name, and so too they should. Radonic knows that his work is cut out for him with this right foot. Swinging towards goal. It's well defended by Fester. Woodcock helping it up the line for Risdon. They're going to be really counting on the likes of those two. If they're going to get back into this game, the only two players who have actually tasted the round of 16 stage before. Woodcock back in his days as a Sydney FC fullback. Perth Glory before that, of course. Steele. An adventurous touch. Nearly a quality switch for Sydney's top goal scorer in Chad Nielsen. Retre. Painter Andrews back to Rattray, who heads all the way home for Charleston. Not sure it was in his intended target, Yuki Uchida, but it's worked out very well. South with openings and numbers, and Aaron Cox. Uchida on the turn, it's a good block. Now Buljuach has a pop. And Fremantle City eventually conspire to clear through Festa. They are lining up at the present moment, South Melbourne. Uchida was in an acre. It was last-ditch defending from Festa on 2 occasions that denied 2 of South Melbourne's most potent threats a chance to double the lead. Woodcock stooping down to thwart the threat. Painter Andrews, lovely drop of the shoulder, decent cross 2. Headed clear by Steele, and a chance perhaps for Fremantle City to break. Nielsen finds Chechlats, who had not heard the stomping feet of Tom Giannakopoulos over his shoulder. Did the reigning NPLWA Player of the Season. Just like the one and only other occasion in which South Melbourne have faced WA NPL opposition in the Australia Cup. It's a similarly hot start for Hellas. Offside flag is up. It's been a long 9 years since their round of 16 clash with Sorrento FC here at Lakeside on the 23rd of August 2017. Game in which Lee Monopolis, modern legend of South Melbourne, a club that contains so many, scored inside the opening minute. '24. They run in the round of 16. That was a edition of the tournament that took South all the way to the semis. 6,000 fans in similar conditions to this saw them go down 5-1 to Sydney FC. There's only one A-League team waiting on their side of the bracket though. Melbourne City, who will take on Lions later this week. Rattray. Cox. Jankovic had to dive down to get it across the Painter Andrews. There are plenty of blue shirts, and one of them's found, and it's 2, courtesy of David Yu. And that's the way they love to play under Sinisa Hadzic, flipping the field. Plenty of passes and options aplenty in the box to tuck it away. Painter Andrews had 4 South shirts to aim at. And the one who struck true was David Yu, the OFC Pro League signing. Getting his second goal for South Melbourne since arriving from South Island United. It is looking very promising indeed for that man, Sinisa Hadzic's side, in their quest to qualify for the quarterfinals. David Yu scored against South in the OFC Pro League. Now he's scoring for them. Far more enjoyable for their raucous home fans. Fremantle City that molehill just became a bit of a mountain. Still plenty of football to be played though, and this Fremantle City side have shown not just in the Cup but in their regular season, but they're not one to shy away from a challenge. And McCullough gives South Melbourne something to think about with a right-footed bender. Fremantle City have found themselves in positions such as these many a time before. They've made something of it. Picked up 11 points this year after going behind in games. And if you think 2-0's too tall a task, a game earlier this year against Bayswater where they were 3-0 down, managed to earn a share of the spoils in a 3-3 draw. So they will know they're up against it, but they will know that they've got the qualities to change that 6-1 shot ledger in favour of South. Hellas will be hoping to do the same. David Yu, could he make it 2 for him? Not quite. Some more energetic to defending to stop a South shots. But the danger not averted. David Yu, a quiet start to this game, but it is one into which he has grown. Threat that South offer on their flanks in attack there for all to see. David Yu on the right, Cox on the left. Tall tasks for Fremantle City's defence. Yu's ball, Yankovic across the face. And Fremantle eventually gets it away. Chechlats. Wingell happy to just let that one go out for a throw. Just give City a chance to breathe. Mentioned it's the first time South Melbourne have played WA NPL opposition since 2017. It's just the 4th time all told. We've seen NPL sides from those two states battle it out. 3 wins prior going the way of Victoria, but the West Australian entrant has scored in every single one of them. Stirling Macedonia, the most recent last year, away to Avondale in the round of 32. Said about the final scoreline in that game. Mind you, the better. Always make their voice heard. And Australia, South Melbourne supports. Plenty of chirp after knocking Adelaide United out of the cup in the round of 32. Big round of 32 for Victoria. Every single one of their qualifiers progressing, and 2 NPL Victoria sides dumping out the top 2 in the A-League last season. It's the coaching duo, the masterminds of Scott Miller and Dale Wingell. Former teammates both at Perth Glory and the short-lived Perth Kangaroos, who played in Singapore. Brains trust. Deep in thought about how they can change the trend of swathes of South possession and chances. Music to the ears of that man, Sinisa Kahardzic. Cox. Slowed down slightly in the last 10 minutes from the admittedly very lofty bar that he set for himself in the opening 15. Nice pass infield for Uchida. Yu just left the ball behind. Just as quickly as they lose it at the moment, South Melbourne able to win it back. Cox conniving his way towards the penalty area, but he's just overcooked the cross. And Jack Painter-Andrews, try as he might, can't get that one alive. There's another who caught the eye of South playing against them, Aaron Cox, in the Australian Championship for the Broadmeadow Magic. He was previously in Scotland before that. At one point was a full-time professional under the stewardship of Craig Levine at St Johnston. Pasquale. Juoch hasn't seen too much of the football so far. It's the South Melbourne wingers who have done most of the attacking work. Back in the thick of things, Aaron Cox. Painter-Andrews' early delivery, which keeps it alive, and in truth has done very well. Reward for effort, picks out a teammate. Cox. Another overpowered cross, and Painter-Andrews, it was a bit clumsy, but enough to win a throw. How about this commitment to the cause from Yuki Uchida at full stretch, and doing very well to avoid launching himself into the advertising hoardings. Another long launch from Painter-Andrews. Jankovic glancing towards goal. Side-footed away by Steele. For 27 straight minutes, Fremantle City have barely had a moment's peace in the face of this effervescent south side. Yu puts the head down, wins the corner. It's 97 goals across all competitions for South Melbourne this season. Off the back of their 2 this evening. Have lofty ambitions of knocking down the century tonight. Comes the corner, away at the first time of asking Fremantle City's defence. This was the away troop Fremantle City wanted. They celebrated when they saw the draw. I spoke to Scott Miller yesterday, and he mentioned just how much a lift, not just the win in the round of 32 against Maitland gave them, but the boost to club culture. They didn't just take their senior starters and bench, they took the full squad so that everyone could have the experience. Ooh, this is an awkward moment between Charleston and Chad Nielsen. And Jock Quartermain has pointed to the spot. And out of thin air, Fremantle City have fashioned a golden chance to engineer a route back into the contest. Jake Charleston, who is currently deputising for the injured Javi Lopez, hasn't done too much wrong in that intervening period. Just a miscalculation on the part of the 22-year-old keeper. Didn't get the ball, cleans out Chad Nielsen. And now Charlie Chechlats will have the chance to bring Fremantle City back into this one. Just the one shot so far in 30 minutes of football. Charleston has gone into the book, of course, as you saw before. Can Fremantle City's second shots? Bring this one back to life at Lakeside. Chechlats against Charleston, and Chechlat scores. Fremantle City are back alive at Lakeside. And this round of 16 tie has a bit to give us just yet.
Fremantle City FC scored by number 8, Charlie Chechlat.
Well, Charleston went the right way, but City star midfielder able to slip it under the grasp of the keeper for his 8th of the season. With just their 2nd shots of the game, Fremantle City have a platform potentially on which to build. But it is only potentially, because here comes South. Cox. Driven effort, driven away. Whistle eventually going against Isaiah Wingell. Or rather against Yuki Uchide in favour of Isaiah Wingell. If you heard the double up of the name before, yes, is the son of Fremantle's assistant coach, Dale Wingell. So Fremantle have gotten themselves on the board. The question is, can it inspire them to bigger and better? Or is it going to anger South Melbourne, looking to add more to their tally? Here's Buljuach. Dazzling, he can shoot from this sort of range. Buljuach, it's another superb stop from George Fester, who has really stood tall in Fremantle City's defence. Haven't seen too much of him this evening, but here's the trickery of which he's capable, Buljuach. He'll be happy, Scott Miller. Hit the score sheet against South Melbourne, but the road back still a lengthy one, particularly when South have a corner. Bit of a flat one, it'll find its way back to Cox. The second crack for him, it's a swing and a miss from Giannakopoulos. Fremantle City with their lines. Chad Nielsen giving chase. Ramazani able to show a far cooler head than that of Jake Charleston. Cross counts, superior number of passes, reflective of the open play control that South Melbourne have enjoyed in this game. Sinisa Gahardzic always big on respect for the opposition, regardless of where they come from or the name and the history. He will be wary that so long as the margin is a 1-goal margin. This is a side who have pulled rabbits out of hats in very recent times in Fremantle City. You would not have picked their comeback the way they did it or the speed at which they did it against Maitland, but they did it. And the set piece comes in. Fester rose really high, but couldn't make the ball his own. Edwards. Risdon. Two former Perth Glory players combining. Another solid interruption of possession by Hassan Ramazani. Miguel finds Chalmers. This is more like it from Fremantle. The 3rd goal that South Melbourne have conceded in their last 7 games. Early ball in from Woodcock and flicked on by Edwards. Incredible! Fremantle City have equalised from nowhere. 2-0 down and hanging on, 2-2 in the blink of an eye. It is just what they do. And Cam Edwards, restored to the starting side tonight, has drawn them level at Lakeside. Where has that come from? Only Fremantle City will know. And a brief moment of lax marking allowed Riley Woodcock to pick out Cam Edwards. And again, Charleston came off the line. Again, Fremantle found a way to fight back. And to those not familiar with them, it'll be a shock. But for Scott Miller, and for this side who have known little more than responding to adversity this season, they will not be shocked one jot. And haven't we got a round of 16 tie on our hands? 4 goals in 34 minutes of football. Cox. Driven in by Cox. It flushed all the way to the penalty spots. Delicate pass. Jewach! Oh, what's an opportunity for the Raging Bull to make it 3-2 before the halftime whistle. A deft and delicate ball from David Yu. And Bull Jewach, the form that he's got in the Australia Cup, you expected South Melbourne to retake their lead. Well, a quite remarkable turn of events at Lakeside Stadium. Fremantle City 2-0 down against the might of a former NSL powerhouse, one of the biggest clubs outside the A-League. The biggest, some would argue. 2-0 down inside 20 minutes. Charlie Chechlater's penalty gave them belief. And then they've taken the bull by the horns. And South are a little shell-shocked here at Lakeside. Pasquale in a bit of discomfort. It was Chalmers who caught his fair share of the South midfielder, but Jock Quartermain had already whistled play dead for a Fremantle City free kick. Could they turn it all the way around? Not from that free kick at least. Risdon. Cox up to the task of clearing. Chechlats with the second effort. Fester misses it in the air, and that allows his former teammate in Painter Andrews to steal away, but only for a moment. He's back in West Australia. NPL fans who get up and watch the games in WA will be shaking their heads at the screen and going, Fremantle City have done it again. How do they keep doing this? Cox. Jewach trying to twist and turn. Pasquale. Is there a fifth before the break? Pasquale! Well stopped by Radonic, who's been called into action a couple of times when his defense hasn't been able to produce the block, and it's another solid save from the experienced NPLWA veteran, 3-time goalkeeper of the year. Painter Andrews on the charge. Staunch tackle from Woodcock. Picks out Risdon in a pocket of space. Certainly settled Fremantle City. Though that one is not going to reach Chad Nielsen. 12 games across the Australia Cup and NPL regular season this year. Fremantle City have gone behind. 7 of those 12 games, Fremantle City have come back to either win or draw. Cox. Risdon has forwarded the football back to Uchida. Painter Andrews. David Yu. Breaking onto the left, David Yu. Still hunting his second goal of the evening. Certainly a player who is catching the eye on the right flank. You can see the pained expression on the face of Cam Edwards, just trying to track down the 26-year-old. Prior to playing in the Pro League for South Island United, had a taste of the top of world football at the Club World Cup with Auckland City, playing the likes of Bayern Munich. Here's a chance for Fremantle. Chad Nielsen going for the chip over Charleston. He's got it in the locker. 27-year-old, 11 goals across the League and Cup commitments this year. Painter Andrews. Poor pass, picked off by Risdon. Chedslats, only McCalla the option further ahead. He tries to thread the needle for Nielsen. That time, Charleston has the house in order. So Fremantle City having really some joy in open play, breaching the back line of South Melbourne. Who, by the way, have not conceded as many goals tonight as they had in their previous 6 games. So as if there was another set of numbers that underscores the scale of this remarkable first half comeback from Fremantle. He's been at the heart of it, Josh Risdon. Draws level with Adelaide United legend Isaias for the 3rd most Australia Cup games played. Hoping to chase down the current leader, Andrew Redmayne, on 32. He won't be playing another. Pasquale, towed away by Steele. And the South Melbourne corner. So it looks. Will bring us into 3 minutes of first half stoppage. Instead, it's a goal kick for Luke Radonjic. So a fair chunk of first half stoppage. Time enough for either side to press their case for the lead of this game. South to retake. Fremantle to unbelievably, incredibly, and impeccably secure. McCalla. Football back to Fester, who retreats to Radonjic. continues to team down at Lakeside. And the conditions certainly have thrown up chaos in more ways than one. So Fremantle, who'd already become the first WA NPL side to win away in the Cup, and taken another slice of history. They're the first WA NPL side to score twice against the Victorian NPL team in the Cup. They're looking for three here. Nielsen. Oh, Charleston was always favoured and the offside flag was up in any case. Ramazani wides the line beautifully for Aaron Cox. He's just lost that magic touch when going to the left foot rather than the right, has Aaron Cox. There's 3 or 4 crosses now that have been blazed past all the willing runners. Pasquale. David Yu. Beautiful 1-2. Great footwork from Pasquale. Yu again. And the cutback can only find Risdon. Painter Andrews. Festa rose highest. Cox missed it. Risdon got. Chuach is going to be penalised for the high foot. Well, what a remarkable turn up for the books this one has been so far at Lakeside Stadium. South Melbourne were 2 goals clear inside 20 minutes and on course to steamroll their way through to the quarterfinals. But a frantic 4-minute comeback from Fremantle City has this round of 16 tie level at the break. The halftime score, South Melbourne 2, Fremantle City 2.
As well as Suvlakia, our friends at Ladaki Grill. In the social plus,
have been hoisted, allegiance sworn, battle lines drawn. This is football at its most passionate. It's the Sydney Derby. Again, it falls to Quall. It's Derby delight for the red and black. The Western Sydney Wanderers against Sydney FC. Quintal, he's got his second. Revenge for Sydney FC with interest.
What are you doing?
We're planking.
It's because of our internet providers.
We're stuck in 2011.
Same slow internet speeds.
And high prices.
It's like a nightmare.
Enough planking. Superloop is a network purpose-built for the super-fast future of the internet. You are free.
Don't take it lying down, Australia. Refresh your internet.
clumsiness. And Fremantle City starman Charlie Chetzlats pulling them into...
The world's biggest teams are here.
Incredible stuff. Look at this atmosphere in here. It's unbelievable.
To face the best of the A-Leagues. All in one place.
That is champagne football.
The Winter Festival of Football. Only on Paramount Plus.
First spots in the final 8 of the Hahn Australia Cup for an NPL side is up for grabs at Lakeside Stadium. And it is just as open a question as it was when we started as to which of these two teams it will be. South Melbourne and Fremantle City locked at 2 apiece. Incredible opening 45 turn of events that saw South Melbourne take a 2-0 lead, and a commanding one at that after 20 minutes. And then Scott Miller's men, as they have done time and time and time again this season, masterminded a route back into the contest. 2 goals in 4 minutes from Charlie Chetzlatz and Cam Edwards have brought this game level. And this Fremantle City side, out of thin air, no wonder he's crossing himself, Sinisika Hadzic, have created him no shortage of headaches. South Melbourne know what awaits. It is a quarterfinal clash with one of either Brunswick Juventus or their old rivals, the Preston Lions. That is a tie they will desperately want. And if they're going to find it, they will have to re-find the football they played in the opening 20 minutes. It is shaping as a shootout to decide the first NPL entrance into the Australia Cup quarterfinals for 2026. Welcome back to you if you are joining us from the first half. And what were you doing if you weren't with us for the first half? You missed quite the opening 45. The 2-0 lead maybe does not do justice to just how dominant South Melbourne truly were. It was a 2-0 advantage and 10 shots to about zip in that 20-minute period. Fremantle found a way. Long throw in. Dangerous area. Swing and a miss from you. Chuach couldn't get the beating of Risdon in the corner. Make no mistake, Sinisika Hadzic would have issued some very stern words to this South Melbourne side for the manner in which they let that lead slip. And their faithful are never short on lending their opinion, both positively and negative, but they're making a great voice tonight. They are a fan base who rightly demand and expect a lot, because they have seen and enjoyed a lot of success in years gone by. Last year too, Doherty Cup winners, Australian Championship winners as well. Sinisika Hadzic's very successful first season in charge. Want to make headlines in the Australia Cup, but not the wrong ones that getting knocked out would present. It's Riley Woodcock who was felled there by Jankovic. No whistle was called, but Jankovic's touch was a skew whiff one anyway. It was Woodcock who played the cross in for Cam Edwards to draw Fremantle City level. A very touching moment for the Edwards family, that goal. 34-year-old captain of the club, Cameron Edwards, scoring at the same venue where his father Alistair scored thrice for Perth Glory in the NSL. Glory, they were a side who were a real thorn in the side of South Melbourne. Just the 3 wins against Glory for Hellas in the NSL era. It's 3 wins from a total of 16 games. All of those came at Lakeside, so the Edwards name scoring at Lakeside, not the only history repeating. WA causing havoc for South Melbourne. Painter Andrews, the West Australian, getting forward, who is Snuffed out nicely by Festa, one of Fremantle's best in the first half. Number of blocks. As Palaretre has a little awkwardly given away a free kick. Palm of apology. It's the fourth game for Palaretre since signing for South Melbourne. After the end of his time at Wellington Phoenix. He was a Victorian born, but spent so many years winning grand finals and being part of a couple of Australia Cup winning squads as well at Sydney FC. No wonder Cam Edwards has stayed down. Palaretre has hit the West Australian veteran where it hurts. Of course, it's not just his father, Alistair, in that famous Edwards family. His brother, Ryan, also a former Perth Glory player, currently playing in Thailand with BG Pathum United. Two sides coached by managers who encourage, demand, expect attacking football, and goals from their side has delivered so far at Lakeside. Duach trying to glance it around Festa. Comfortable work for Radonic, who either side of South Melbourne's 2 goals, neither of which he could do a great deal about, did make some solid saves to keep Fremantle in the contest. And here is Shub Makala. Oh, I don't believe it! This is just remarkable. Don't scratch your eyes. Fremantle City really are ahead from 2-0 down.
Goal for Fremantle City, scored by number
And this
7,
City
Chad Nielsen.
Cinderella story continues to rise on the national stage. A ball over the top that completely caught out South Melbourne. And Shub Makala with a delicate finish, unbelievably, incredibly, has put Fremantle City into the lead at Lakeside. And could one of the great Australia Cup stories, a true chapter of minnow magic, be brewing here at this iconic footballing venue against an iconic footballing club. What a stunning turn of events at Lakeside. Fremantle City have had 5 shots in this game. They have scored 3. And now South are looking to respond. Painter Andrews has overcooked the cross. It's been in danger of becoming a slightly hackneyed, cliched phrase in the 12 years now of the Australia Cup, but magic of the Cup you are most certainly seeing tonight at Lakeside. Not to labour it, but it is a point worth repeating. Freo were 2-0 down and a mile away. This was not on the cards at all. 32 minutes in. Oh, down goes a South Melbourne player in the penalty area. It was Uchida who was upended. And the other side of the equation is that it is 3 moments of defensive frailty that have cost South as we have a look at that penalty shout for Yuki Uchida, who stayed down on the turf, the Japanese winger. Looks as though he'll be right to continue. Yes, defensive frailties though they may be, this is a South Melbourne side who have conceded twice in the last 6 weeks. For all the talk we've made of Fremantle City's bounce back ability, and South Melbourne cannot say they weren't warned. Now it is South who are going to have to find their own fight back. The good news is they've done it on no fewer than 7 occasions this season. 6 come from behind victories across NPL and the OFC Pro League for South Melbourne. Hassan Ramazani. Aaron Cox. His opening goal, class though it was, feels a planet away from where we're at now. What a pass that is, or it looks a great pass. Initially for David Yu, the slick on the surface, which is not getting any easier for these players. The rain continues to come down, and it did throughout the halftime break as well. Just made that one a task too tall for David Yu. Of course, South Melbourne were behind themselves in the round of 32 against Adelaide. And we all know what happened next. Now, this is a very different kettle of fish, because the pressure is on South. This was not in the script. This wasn't meant to happen. David Yu. Trey Cox. Pasquale forces Rattray to double back. Ramazani. It's an area of the game that has let them down a little bit since Fremantle have worked their way back into the contest. Number of well wide crosses. That time Riley Woodcock grants them the reprieve of conceding a corner. Which David Yu will set himself to take. Again, overhit and all the way out for a throw on the opposite side. That the Clarendon corner are making is not helping their side at the present moment. Rattray. Giannakopoulos. Good pass inside for Pasquale, elected against the shot. Cox. Uchida gets the eyes up, great ball in, but it's Woodcock who's caught in a South sandwich and wins the free kick for his hearty defending. Better ball this time from South. Lack of end product, and that bash and crash from Painter Andrews the reason that the free kick arrived for Riley Woodcock. His experience has been invaluable in this game. Just a reminder, NPL WA have never beaten NPL Victoria in the Australia Cup. And in fact, the only time they have ever done it, you actually have to go to the old NPL National Finals for the last national stage win by a West Australian semi-pro team against Victoria. 6 years ago in the quarterfinals, Perth Soccer Club came to Victoria and knocked out Heidelberg United after extra time. Interesting twist of fate. A couple of those City or Perth scorers are playing for Freo tonight. Here comes South. Crossed into the box is dangerously turned away by Ben Steele at the concession of another corner. The good news is for Fremantle, they've got the lead. The bad news is that they're going to have to spend, you would imagine, a lot of time holding on to it. South Melbourne will not die wondering here tonight. Wound in, Jankovic! The script looked written for the captain to score on his 31st birthday, but just the wrong side of the post for the towering central defender. Spent a lot of time trying to make sure he could get the leap on George Fester. Maybe not so much time and attention given to directing the header towards goal. Character of some very special cup nights. Marko Jankovic scored the goal to knock Wellington Phoenix out of the Australia Cup. He was a Bentley Greens player back in 2018. No South Melbourne fan will forget his incredible match-winning free kick against Olympic in extra time 2 years ago. They need some of that magic this evening. They might be able to do it through a free kick. Yuki Uchida does get the whistle he wanted earlier. And the South fans were asking questions of a card for the Scotsman John Chalmers. No such sanction arrives. To be Seb Pasquale with the trick play. Cox. Can the pre-rehearsed routine find something? It nearly did through Aaron Cox. Luke Radonic batting away at his near post. They are starting to turn the screw south. They've taken it short. Pasquale. Still Seb Pasquale. In comes the ball. Turns out for another Fremantle City conceded corner. 28 minutes to play at Lakeside. The barrage has already begun. Swung in. One fist away from Radonic to the top of the area. Pasquale brilliantly blocked by Edwards. No whistle from Jock Quartermain. Now it arrives. Fremantle City are not happy. They thought that the free kick, to ease a bit of the pressure on them, should have been coming a moment ago, but in the end, it's David Yu who wins the free kick for South. Latest in a string of brilliant last-ditch defending. That's the moment on Chad Nielsen that Fremantle thought should have earned them a free kick. And now this is a curious one. Hassan Ramazani, who is not a regular scorer of goals by any stretch, standing over the set piece. Yet to score a first South Melbourne goal. It remains to be seen whether he will go for this one. Ramazani looking to turn provider instead. And punted clear by Edwards. So a reminder, not only have WA not beaten Victoria, a WA NPL side has never made the quarterfinals of the Australia Cup. Fremantle City are 26 minutes away. Cox inside for Duach. It's a scramble. It's another solid save from Radonic. An unlikely lead that is looking increasingly more precarious for Fremantle City. Ramazani. Painter Andrews, Souths fans urging them on. Festa opened away again. And Palaretre is going to be penalised for handball.
Substitution for Fremantle
City. Going to bring about the
coming off number 6,
first substitution of the evening. Tash Bingwa will be hoping for a similar level of impact to his half-time entry in the round of 32. He got both assists in that turnaround from 1-0 down. And Cam Edwards, whose equalising goal is all important at the present moment, is the player who comes off. Bingwa, in his third senior season with Fremantle City, has been mostly an impact player, but has had high impacts, a goal or assist average of every 86 minutes across the league and Australia Cup this season for Fremantle City. Fremantle City side who are in the top 4 of NPLWA this season and on track for finals, but stayed in the top division through the Pro-Rel playoff last year. They were nearly a second-tier side in WA. Track to knock one of Australia's biggest out of the Australia Cup. It's a task far from done though. Yankovic for Painter Andrews. South's bench is a little short owing to some first team injuries at the moment. Some subs coming on soon. David Yu breaking away. And the shot blocked. Cox. Fremantle City standing tall through steel again. It's the kind of full stretch defending that has provided Fremantle City the platform for the lead that they currently have and seek to hold. Cox's corner. Chechlatz lifting clear. Double substitution looks to be in waiting for South Melbourne. Yankovic. Nice disguised pass. Uchida goes to ground. A wave of the hand. And listen to the roar around Lakeside. They do not agree one jot. The second penalty appeal for Yuki Uchida unheeded. Duach, he goes to ground. That'll do it for South. And at the third time of asking, the hosts are going to get their shot from the spot kick. And it's Bull Duach who succeeds where Yuki Uchida failed in winning a penalty. And South will have the chance to equalise And this one, they cannot have, I have to say on first glance, too many complaints about Fremantle City. A clever little touch from Buljuach. Just got the beating of George Fester, who is unlucky to have conceded given how well he's played tonight. And Buljuach, who won the penalty, will step up for the chance to save South Melbourne's skin and set us up for a grandstand round of 16 finish. George scores! The Raging Bull has brought them back from the brink. And it is 3-3 in the round of 16 at Lakeside with 20 minutes to play. How South Melbourne needed that, how their fans craved it. And Buljuach delivers for the second time in as many cup games for South Melbourne.
For Fremantle City FC.
And the job far from done for South Melbourne, but the nerves have lifted a little. As South Melbourne will see two fresh faces come on. Michael Domfe, one of the heroes of that round of 32 turnaround, enters alongside Paul Zimmerino. Domfe, only recently joining Fremantle City, but a former junior of East Fremantle Tricolore, who are one half of the merger that created Fremantle City in 2015, alongside East Fremantle United. But both Zimmerino just swung in there to get the ball back, and Domfe, intriguingly, I mentioned that only national round win for WA against Victoria in the national finals of the NPL. Who were two of the three scorers, including the winning scorer for Perth Soccer Club against Heidelberg on that day? Paul Zimmerino and Michael Domfe. They did so well to take the lead from 3-0 down, or from 2-0 down rather. Fremantle will be hard pressed to find it again. Here they go though. Bingwa can't find Domfe in the area. Zimmerino totally at 6s and 7s with his fellow substitute in Taj Bingwa. There is Michael Domfe. Victorians will know him well. He was playing in NPL Victoria previous to this with Dandenong Thunder and Hume City. And another one of the state's fabled Victorian clubs before that. He was a Golden Boot winner with Northcote City, alongside South Melbourne attacker Yuki Uchida. One of a number of reunions out there tonight. 18 minutes to play. And this has been in with a shot for tie of the tournament so far. What a weekend it's been. Penalties on Saturday between Melbourne Victory and the Wanderers. A 6-goal thriller at Spencer Park earlier between Raw and Sydney FC, ending 4-2 to the Sky Blues. 6 goals here, still anyone's game in the all-NPL affair. Pasquale. He's clipped. Swift whistle from Jock Quartermain. streaks of mud against the legs of Seb Pasquale tell you just how much rain this turf has taken. Donfay giving chase. This time Charleston allows his cool head to prevail. Cox. Options aplenty for Cox. He could go it himself. Ben Steele with the block. South are closing here at Lakeside. Another decent drive from Aaron Cox. He's prepping an 11th corner for South Melbourne, which they take short. And is blocked. Ramazani. It'll be a 12th corner coming for South now. What a final 15 minutes this is going to be. Of course, it might not be the final 15 minutes. If we don't get another goal for either of these two sides, it will be extra time, potentially penalties. Retrace ball in. Had a few willing recipients, but none of them picked out. Festa flicking it away. Donfay lost out. Juach. Uchida couldn't quite sort his feet. But it is a blue wave at the moment from South Melbourne. Cox leading his defenders on a merry dance. Doing little more than that. You would say that the scale of the one-way traffic means that Fremantle City will be up against it, but volume of chances has not been a concern for them. Just about every chance they've created tonight, they have taken. And that will be in the back of the mind for South as they go searching for the go-ahead goal. David Yu. Uchida. Feeds Cox. And haven't those two central defenders for Fremantle, Ben Steele and George Festa, put in a power of work this evening. Quite remarkable contest on Clarendon Street. Swung in by Cox, missed by Radonjic, but all the way out for a goal kick for the 31-year-old. Cut a nervy figure as Jankovic made his move.
And coming on, number 19, Andriko Mezzaruni. And coming off, number 10, Paul Juach. And coming on,
it's a bit of a pause
Swivel
for this substitution. It was flagged a while earlier, but it is coming to fruition now. Jack Payne-Duranders and Bull Juach departing. Bull having brought South Melbourne level at Lakeside from the penalty spots. Serviceable replacements coming on in the form of Andrew Messaruni and South's top scorer this season across all competitions, Geordie Swibble. Scored 15, 10 of those coming in the OFC Pro League. Messaruni, Andrew Messaruni that is, fresh off 2 goals in NPL Victoria last weekend in a 2-0 win against St Albans. Risdon. Jankovic makes light work of that. David Yu hoping to do the same and does the same. These two sides have been specialists for late goals and drama this season. Every chance that could rear its head again tonight. Messaruni. Not the most telling of touches from Cox. find the surety of foot that allowed him to score in the first half. David Yu. Driving forward, Yu. Festa, short of that penalty that he conceded, has been just fantastic tonight. Will more than likely, regardless of winner, go down as one of the best cup games of this year. Yu, brilliant ball. Pasquale, his touch just a fraction too heavy. Ten minutes to go at Lakeside Stadium. If you have hung around for the late cup game on the Eastern Seaboard, you've made a great choice. Beautiful early evening football over in the West. South Melbourne have scored 19 goals in the final 15 minutes this season. A third of Fremantle's all season have come in this period. David Yu. Can he find a teammate this time? Very nearly. Messaruni, his touch allowed South to retake possession. Pasquale. It's been 60 minutes, an entire hour since South went 2-0 ahead, courtesy of that man, David Yu. And they could never at that point, in a million years, have expected where they'd find themselves with 10 minutes to play. Let alone where they were before Buljuach's equaliser from the spot. Yu. Messaruni. Uchida. Fremantle City with so many behind the ball. Cox looking to breach them. Can't. Will eventually go out for another Aaron Cox corner. South have been involved in some classic cup games across the journey, some of which have ended in heartbreak, others have seen them emerge victorious. They put another one in their column, in their burgeoning history book. Cox's corner. Fisted away by Radonic and pinned in by Pasquale, but Jock Quartermain spotted something he didn't like in the lead-up. Ben Steele, who you can see was barged to the ground. Said Pasquale wasn't to know, a grasping finish from him. Whoever is the first NPL side to qualify for the quarterfinals out of these two, it will be a well-earned victory. Fremantle have shown courage beyond belief to lead from 2-0 down. South Melbourne to refine their footing. Both must, be it in the 90, in extra time or in penalties, go one step further. Brunswick Juventus or Preston Lions await. Many of the neutrals will be wanting Preston v South clash. No guarantee whatsoever at the moment. Giannakopoulos. Inch perfect pass from Uchida, Messaruni. Uchida again. Is there a shot at the end of this? David Yu! Well gathered by Radonic, and the patient play cannot provide the breakthrough for South. This is a serious, dogged display you are seeing from Western Australia's last remaining cup entrant. Bayswater were breezed by Sydney. Perth Glory were knocked out by NPL opposition against Lions. They are holding on here. Rattray. Cox. The umpteenth South Melbourne corner of the evening. This is that earlier opportunity crafted with real zeal by South Melbourne, just frustratingly too close to the keeper from David Yu. So it's a fresh corner taker this time. Paulo Rattray to deliver. Can he succeed where Cox has failed? Winding ball. Richard keeps it alive, but can't do much more than that. Richard will take it. It's the kind of time where they would love to have the long throw abilities of the injured Max Mikkola. Richard has very nearly shown no throw ability whatsoever in that moment. The wet ball getting the better of him. Bingwa. Minutes left to play at Lakeside. Is this one destined for extra time? Pasquale manages to keep his feet. Uchida jinking left and right and finding a way to wriggle through. He had no right to do it, but did it anyway. Rattray. Well marshaled that by Paul Zimmerino. Shan't forget that at this point in the round of 32, 18 days ago, Fremantle were 1-0 down. Scored twice in the 88th and 90th minutes. Could it be another instance of Freo time? South Melbourne's pressure going to pay. They are certainly feeling the heat, City. Penny for the thoughts of Sinisa Kahadzic, who's seen a lot in his 75 prior games in charge of South Melbourne. Not many quite as chaotic as this. Yet finally pay the corner for South. David Yu! Oh, it's superb from Radonic. What a stop that was. Messaruni, another Fremantle City block. Yu again, lays it off. And Cox drags it wide. And play will be stopped for what looks a really nasty head clash here between Tom Giannakopoulos and a member of the Fremantle City defence. Fancy it is Ben Steele, who may well have bore the brunt of Tom Giannakopoulos' cranium. This was Messaruni's corner. It dropped perfectly for Yu. And as Aaron Cox moved the shot wide, you could see in some serious discomfort. Giannakopoulos and Steele. And in the midst of what has been an Australia Cup epic, it will put a smile on the face of any neutral observer. This is potentially a moment that will take a bit of the shine out of things. Some real concern for the leaders of Fremantle City, for the head coach Scott Miller, for Ben Steele. Josh Risdon concerned for a player who, like him, is a product of the Bunbury area. The stretcher has been brought onto the field at Lakeside. But as you can see, still at 6s and 7s as to whether or not it will actually be required. Ben Steele is back sitting upright, which is progress at least.
The fourth official has indicated there'll be a minimum of 6 minutes of added time.
This is the start of 6 minutes of added time, as added to the game by Jack Powers, but of course to deal with this injury for Ben Steele first. John Quartermain will be noting adding this time onto the additional period, but Ben Steele walking off under his own steam to a richly deserved applause from the South Melbourne faithful and those of a Freo persuasion who have travelled. It's no less than he deserves, Ben Steele, not just for recovering from injury, but because of how well he has defended today.
Substitution for Fremantle City, coming off number 4, Ben Steele. And coming on, number 21, Lucas Rossi.
And that is the end of the day for Fremantle's towering defender, who's going to receive continued attention on the sideline and will no doubt stay in the thoughts of all who watch on. Lucas Rossi, the man who has come in to replace him. Rossi, by my understanding, not necessarily a central defender by trade, so prompt a bit of a reshaping of what has been a determined and ferocious back four, particularly since the 20-minute mark. So the rain has abated at Lakeside Stadium. The drama has not. 4 minutes of stoppage left to play, and we'll probably go over that here at Lakeside. Swivel on the turn. Festa with another heroic piece of last-ditch defending. Chechlats. Fremantle City hoping that they could steal it. You can see Lucas Rossi, who scored the goals that kept Fremantle in the top flight at the tail end of last season, has come into an attacking position. His goals in the last of those Pro-Rel playoff games have paved the way for special nights like this. Chechlats headed away by South's defence, recycled by Risdon. South poke it away, and the counter could be on. Uchida, lovely touch around Chechlats. Trey, the only player in the box at the present moment, is going to try and pick him out, and nearly found its way into the back of the net, did the cross. It appeared to take a slight touch as the ball wounds in, but John Quartermain's judgment was that Riley Woodcock did not make a claim on the football, and so out it goes for a goal kick. they have got any nails left. Some 2,700 kilometres west at Hilton Park, the home of Fremantle City, where they have got a club watch party going. They are doing very well. And here they come, Freo. Chechlats. Could they steal it late again? Bingwa. It will be a corner. And at the 95th minute of the match, it looked as though Fremantle City were going to get their first corner, but in actual fact, it won't be. It's going to be a South Melbourne goal kick. Final minutes before extra time to decide the first NPL entry in the quarterfinals. A scoreline that few would have seen coming, and even fewer would have seen how we got here in the first place. Fremantle City from 2-0 down after 20 remain living to fight another day. Wichita muscled off it by Risdon. A late set piece. Last chance saloon in the 90 for South Melbourne. And they take it quickly. On the front foot, Uchida. Yankovic. In the generosity of Jock Quartermain now. Pasquale. Critical stages in this round of 16 tie. South in search for one final chance to end this in regulation. Retre. Uchida. Play continues, only for a moment. A head clash between Woodcock and Uchida may just be enough to steer Fremantle City and South Melbourne to an additional 30 minutes of Australia Cup action. There was no malicious intent from Yuki Uchida. Radonic to send this ball long. And we are going the distance at Lakeside Stadium. An Australia Cup cracker on Clarendon Street. Well, who will complain about an extra 30 minutes of this? 3-3 it ends after 90 minutes between South Melbourne and Fremantle City. But the timing of those goals tell the story. South Melbourne were 2-0 up. Fremantle fought back to lead. And Buljuarch brought it all square.
To see who will kick off and direction the team.
It sets up a tantalising additional 30 to decide the NPL's first entrant into the quarterfinals here at Lakeside Stadium. Doesn't matter who wins, it is a veritable cup classic at Lakeside. South Melbourne came out of the blocks having been pegged back from 2-0 up, looking to take a lead. Instead, it was Fremantle City, who with one ball marched up the other end and stole it. Shub Makala with a delightful chip to put Fremantle into the most unlikeliest of leads, one they held on to for a good 20 minutes before Buljuarch won the penalty, scored the penalty, and gave South Melbourne a platform to go chasing a go-ahead goal inside the 90. David, you delivered their best chance. Denied by a fine piece of goalkeeping from Luke Radonic. The figurehead of a Fremantle defence that had to batten down the hatches and survive nervy moments such as that. But their persistence Their lack of fear here at Lakeside against the might of South Melbourne has afforded them the opportunity to keep on keeping on in this game. Still plenty of substitutes available for either side as well. Final instructions for both of these sides ahead of an additional half hour of football. South Melbourne wouldn't be in desperate need for additional football. This is their 46th game of the season. Fremantle have played a little over, but almost half of the amount of games South have played this season. But those of you watching on at home won't have an issue with more of this. It really has been a remarkable round of 32 tie.
We extend our thanks to the principal naming rights partner, Hahn, with all their support of all clubs, participants and volunteers
It is one
in
of
the
the
Hahn Australia Cup. Hahn
best
loves
cup
to celebrate the
games
on-field moments
you're
that
likely
will
to
forge
see for
lifelong
drama.
bonds and deliver the true magic of the cup. Football Australia
It's been a
also
bit
extends
one-sided,
their
of course.
appreciation
South
to the
Melbourne
Superloop Network
have
10
had
sponsors
so
and
many
finance
chances,
for their ongoing support of the Hahn Australia Cup.
but Fremantle City are just the ultimate believers, the ultimate never say die side from West Australia. And they'll be hoping that attitude can carry them through extra time, which is underway at Lakeside Stadium. It's the second time in the space of a few years that South find themselves in extra time in the Australia Cup. That looked as though it came off the arm of Wingell. And that's why Geordie Swibble is so animated in his protestations that there should be a forthcoming card for the teenager. But no dice. Of course, it was extra time in 2024's round of 16 that saw South Melbourne see off Olympic from Queensland, 3-2. Marko Jankovic scoring a free kick from 35 yards in the 96th minute of that one. An early free kick for South to retake their lead. Messarooney. Easy pickings for the Fremantle defence. Cox. Great pass to find Messarooney. Well, in a competitive field across this weekend of the Australia Cup, and indeed tonight, Andrew Messarooney was trying to fashion a fantastic go-ahead goal from South. And a little bit more dip on that shot, and it could well have been rifling the net. South Melbourne have been to extra time against an, on paper, less fancied opposition in years gone by in the Cup. Shub Makala, the third scorer for Fremantle City, is looking a little ginger here. South Melbourne fans may not like me mentioning the game I'm about to mention. Back in 2015, they were eliminated on penalties by the Palm Beach Sharks in the round of 32. Shub Makala is not happy here. I think he may know in the back of his mind that hamstring he's clutching at may signal the end of his day. Physio has made their way onto the field, but Jock Quartermain is ushering Makala off the field.
Substitution for Fremantle City, coming off number 11, Shub Makala, and coming
Indeed,
on number 10,
Shub Makala's day is done, replaced by the very Australia Cup experience by Fremantle City standards man in Nicholas Ambrosio. nickname at Fremantle City is the Cheese Man, or Cheese, owing to the cheddar of the same name, Ambrosio. Great nickname, handy player as well. Scored at the weekend for Fremantle from the penalty spot as Swibble is the latest in an ever-lengthening list of South Melbourne corners in this game. Taken short by South. Retrace delivery. Fremantle have the answers in defence again. Ambrosio. Jock Quartermain was trying to play advantage, but nothing doing. Had the freneticism of the regular 90 so far this extra time period, but it's going to have to at some point, lest we go to penalty kicks. Cox. Can he recapture his first half magic? Swibble on the swivel. And Cox. Festa had to be careful because Messaruni was closing in at a rate of knots. In it comes, the most convincing of punches from Radonic, and Swibble wins it back. Cox's lifter, it drops in the penalty area. Messaruni! How close was that? How good was that from Radonic? He's had some good ones tonight, but that is his best save of the evening. Messaruni bending the ball towards goal. It struck the crossbar. Now comes the corner. The second phase won by South. Jankovic stabbed, and Yiannakopoulos miscues. Oh, what a glorious opportunity for South Melbourne to hit the front. It was a panicked effort from Thomas Yiannakopoulos. To imagine on the evidence of that replay, more than likely was not expecting the ball to fall his way. David Yu. Good work that time. Full commitment from Lucas Rossi. Swibble. Back to Cox. Cox's cross. Headed clear by Festa. Tennis brought to an end by Aaron Cox. Pasquale has pulled the strings all night long for South. Can they find a gap in this stout defense? David Yu. Bingwa plays it straight out for a South Melbourne throw. Hasn't quite been the red-hot impacts of his round of 32 entrance. Taj Bingwa, a lot of defending to do. But he is the real hero of their round of 32 triumph coming on. Ilyas Akhmedov, the man from Kazakhstan, replacing Isaiah Wingel. Born in Almaty, the Kazakh capital, Ilyas Akhmedov, but a Swedish citizen. Played for a number of years there and scored that outrageous goal in the 90th minute to send City through against Maitland. Could he pop up again with another fairy tale Fremantle finish? Loose ball. Pasquale poking to Cox. For all the possession they have had, South have had a hard time creating meaningful chances opening up this Freo defence. That's more like it though. Cox, Messarouni! And the touch allows Radonjic to gather far more comfortably than Messarouni's previous efforts. Hasn't been for lack of trying that Andrew Messarouni hasn't gone down as South Melbourne's hero tonight. You. Now is Swivel onside. No, is the answer. They're in uncharted territory in the Australia Cup at the moment. Akhmedov trying to steal in on Jankovic. NPL WA and NPL Victoria have never gone to extra time before. Every previous instance has been resounding wins for Victoria. This has been anything but. Ramazani, unorthodox but effective. 5 minutes left in the first period of extra time. Ramazani, South Melbourne, coming forward through Aaron Cox. Cox closes to the byline. Well defended by Isaiah Wingell. So well, in fact. It was Taj Bingwa doing the defending. So well, in fact, that it is going to be a Fremantle goal kick. Fremantle, the head coach Scott Miller, they wanted to test themselves against the biggest and the best in NPL land when the cup draw came through. They wanted to go away. Only if they've gotten their wish. But they have upheld their end of the bargain. They are a decent shout for being, if it were not for the recent heroics of Olympic Kingsway, who knocked Victory out last year, WA's best NPL team in the Australia Cup. They've really understood the assignment with the drama that they have added. And they batten down their hatches once more. Cox. Cox and you. Messarouni to pick up the pieces. Messarouni has his shots headed off quite literally at the pass. Retre invites the run of Pasquale. So too does he for Uchida, but just running out of real estate was the Japanese winger. Getting their money's worth tonight. The Lakeside faithful trying to will their side through to the quarterfinals for the third time in Australia Cup history. Both of the previous two trips have ended at the semi-final stage. South have qualified for the Cup 3 years running. It's by far their best run. Festa, uncomfortable. Wants to clear out into touch. Instructing the defenders, trying to guard against a potential counter. Sinisa Hadzic. Hard to believe that there was a point this season where he was out to South Melbourne manager. club announced his departure until about 72 hours passed, and he ultimately returned. Didn't miss a game in the end. It's been a topsy-turvy season for South Melbourne. 46 games played, 50 players used across NPL Victoria and the OFC Pro League. This evening has been but a microcosm of the chaos that they've endured this season, and Coppolis nearly had his pocket picked by Domfe. And the striker returning to Victoria has picked up a handy little set piece for a side who have not done very much extra time attacking so far. And they pull it out of the hat again. Fremantle, it's a really good ball in, and the chance was there for Michael Domfe. Oh, it's sat up brilliantly for the striker. Completely miscalculated. That is a real scare survive for South.
The fourth official has indicated there'll be a minimum of 2 minutes of added time.
How many more chances like that will Freo get? Been at a premium this evening. They haven't turned down too many. Cox on the charge again. Being held up by Ambrosio. Pasquale. Too much movement in that penalty area, but a fair share of blue shirts. Pasquale. Cox again. The attackers want the ball in the box. They won't get it. Charlie Chetzlats. The Englishman barges in. And City come forward through Michael Domfe. Yiannakopoulos earns hearty applause for his commitments to the Hellas cause. Final minutes of stoppage time in the first period of extra time. Uchida on the march. Is now the time for South to retake their lead. For an hour since they had it in the first place. And Swibble can't connect with David Yu. And we are, as we started, in extra time. All square, 3 apiece.
At Lakeside Stadium in the Hahn Australia Cup.
South have provided the pressure, the possession.
Fremantle City.
But both sides have had a very good chance to change that level ledger. It remains South Melbourne 3, Fremantle City 3. With 15 more minutes to come and potentially penalties. I wonder what is in that little leaflets. Big second half of extra time to come here at Lakeside. Pudakides and Sinisika Hadzic in conversation on the sideline. Have a look at the chances for either side to take the lead. It ultimately fell by the wayside. This was a great one through Messarouni. He was one of the central characters and has been since coming on. Convincing punch from Radonic. Lifted back in by Aaron Cox. This one, and Messarouni brought the best out of Radonic, who swung his body towards the ball to tip that one onto the post. South sustained their threat. Messarouni again had it in third of his chances. But what they lacked in possession, Freo made up for in efficiency, but for the efficient finishing of Michael Domfe, who could not repeat the feat of his round of 32 efforts and score off the bench. So both sides more than able to lay claim to the lead of the game. But neither side have got it. South Melbourne have made another sub. Paolo Retre, who had only played 197 minutes for South Melbourne since signing, comes off. Into the fray comes the exciting teenage talent that is James Lackey, the 19-year-old who has dazzled mostly off the bench for South or in the OFC Pro League and in NPL Victoria. Hasn't scored since April in an 8-1 win against Tahiti United. It's been a regular fixture since signing from Melbourne Victory's youth stocks. Here come Freo though. Domfe denied by the outstretched leg of Marko Jankovic. Somewhat of a cheaply conceded corner for South though. Uncharted territory for Fremantle City. Hadn't been in the cup before this year. Now they're in extra time against the Australian powerhouse, and the header towards goal from Festa. Bounces past the post. Another could have been moment for the side from West Australia. A really good delivery from Chetzlats, and the reaction of George Festa tells the story. Pasquale. Ramazani. Cox. On the march for South Melbourne. Picks the gap for Yuki Uchida. Another big block, and Fremantle eventually will clear their lines. Helter-skelter stuff in the Fremantle City penalty box. There's been such an oft-repeated script in this game. South Melbourne look like they have the class and the quality, but what they did not bargain on was the ever-present defensive persistence of Fremantle City. And let's not forget, lost one of their heroic central defenders in Ben Steele to injury in stoppage time of the 90. Akhmedov. Woodcock. Ambrosio. Back to Riley Woodcock, who heads to ground and gets the free kick. Fremantle City having a nice little start to this second period of extra time. This would be quite the way to retake that lead. Chetzlats has got an eye for the spectacular. Woodcock has scored a cracking free kick earlier this season against Perth Red Star back in May. It's Chetzlats who instead takes it quickly, and it will be a corner coming for Fremantle City. Should they score and find goal number 4, you will hear the roar across the Nullarbor. Hilton Park in Fremantle erupt as the corner's sent in to the side netting. It's been amongst their best, Riley Woodcock. Chetzlats. Ambrosio darts up the eyes. Ramazani flicks away. Nearly to the advantage of Domfey. He just couldn't find a clean touch. Did only play once against South Melbourne in his time in NPL Victoria. Michael Domfey never scored. Didn't play here at Lakeside. Ambrosio, he has scored on the national stage before against the Wanderers. Back in his Florida Athena days a couple of years ago. Fremantle City finishing the freshest here. A chance for Zimmerino! And was he just caught betwixt and between shot or pass there? He's reading the riot act to his teammate. As he slipped through, and there was a Fremantle City player on that right shoulder, but riot act he may read out to his teammate. You can't help but wonder whether or not he might have been better placed to go it alone. But this is getting really interesting. Fremantle are having a really good spell. They're imbued with belief, and Bingwa flicks it across. Oh, Domfey! Any touch would have done. And South Melbourne, who for so long have been in control at 3-all, were that close to going behind again in a game they once, an eternity ago, led 2-0. Finishing with a wet sail, it looks Fremantle City. That pass won't help them though from Akhmedov. It's end-to-end at the moment. Uchida upended, all legal. Cox, his cross, past the reach of Swivel. Former Coney Stallion. Ramazani. In a sometimes easily caught out South Melbourne defence, Ramazani has been mostly pretty calm and collected. Messaruni, Lackey, the youngster. South Melbourne need a hero, or penalties beckon. Or worse still, an unforeseen exit. Pasquale. A bit of a one-man mission through midfield. Uchida sets a task for Cox, a task too tall. Regardless of the way that this game goes at this point, South Melbourne, Sinisa Kahadzic will be rather frustrated that for all of their possessional control since going behind, they have not made as many chances as you would expect. More has this game that has given us more than many could ever have expected, let alone asked, got in store for us. Ramazani. Still Ramazani. It might sit here for Messaruni. Couldn't find a teammate in the middle. This has been nothing short of a Herculean effort from Fremantle City's defence. And it's not often you say that about a defence that's conceded thrice. Rooney decided against the shot that time. David Yu. Yu's ball in. Yankovic leapt, didn't collect. South Melbourne will keep their foot on the throat for now. Wriggling betwixt and between players is Messaruni, not to the advantage of any of his teammates. Cox. Very good. Ambrosio. A long launch, not the friend of Fremantle this time. If they burned their glorious chances to be the team who wins this in 120 minutes. We're 4 minutes away from penalties, and Seb Pasquale is not best pleased with the lack of movement from his teammates. 11 years since South went to penalties in the Australia Cup. That one didn't end well. Cox's cross. Again, Radonic stands tall. Lackey finds a shooting angle. Lackey! And Festa's header, all important, because that one could well have been bound for the back of the net. There's the fancy footwork of James Lackey, only matched by another instance of gargantuan defensive work from Festa. 3 minutes to go in extra time. The corner comes in. Lackey, the flick is gathered by Radonic. Yiannakopoulos could have scored a backheel beauty to win this one, but put it straight down the throats of Fremantle's gargantuan goalkeeper. Finishing fast here, South. Lackey! It's a ding-dong battle between he and Festa at the minute. Anything you can shoot, I can block.
Substitution for South Melbourne FC, coming off number 7, David Yu. And coming on, number 18, Andre Skopoulos.
He's been quite the menace since coming on. Final sub, you'd imagine, of the night for South. Young Andre Skopoulos coming on, the South Melbourne junior product, who returned to the club last season, arrives in place of David Yu. Straight into the thick of the action for the youngster. He's on corner duties from the get-go. His first of the night. He's not the first to go all the way out for a throw on the opposite side. There is not a lot of time left in this game at all. You don't need me to tell you that, but it's the truth. Fremantle City and South Melbourne are on course for a penalty shootout you would have been extremely hard-pressed to predict. Anywhere will do at this point for Fremantle. They'd be rather pleased with penalties in context. Lackey. How many more chances will South get? Lackey's delivery. Off the toe of Geordie Swibble. Couldn't guide it anywhere near goal. It was a rasping drive, in fairness, from Lackey. You'd be hard-pressed to turn it goalward with it coming in at such a rate of knots. Fremantle City's last penalty shootout was in a pre-season game, the Night Series in 2023, from which they emerged victorious. added on to extra time.
A minimum of 1 minute of added time.
One chance perhaps from this set piece to South Melbourne to seal it with one of the last kicks, which in the context of this game would be more than fitting. In comes the ball, and away by Fremantle City. Lackey around the snapping studs of Chechlats. They're staying up for South. Cox, Messarooney. It's another excellent piece of Fremantle City defending. That may get them to the shootout. That will get them to the shootout. And there is no end to the drama on offer at Lakeside Stadium in the round of 16. South Melbourne and Fremantle City at the end of 120 topsy-turvy minutes will decide the first NPL quarterfinalist in the Australia Cup via a penalty shootout. 3-3 the full-time score. South Melbourne were 2 to the good. Fremantle fought back to lead it. And we've been at a stalemate since the 70th minute mark when Buljuach brought South Melbourne back. And it will be spot kicks to decide the NPL's first final 8 entrant. South Melbourne's last penalty shootout was a profitable one for them. The 2024 Doherty Cup saw them emerge victorious against the Oakley Cannons. But before we get to the shootout, let's have a quick look back at the highlights from the second half of extra time, where Fremantle laid claim to a fair share of decent chances to potentially hit the front. Were blocked by George Festa. Well, Nicholas Ambrosio looks as though he is going to be the first taker for Fremantle. He has scored twice from the penalty spot this season, including in the 89th minutes last week against Perth Azzurri. And another classic Fremantle City comeback in a 2-2 draw. Can he get the West Australians off to a hot start in the shootouts? Or can Jake Charleston, he's had a few blunders tonight, stand tall? Underway in the penalty shootout, and Ambrosio gets Fremantle off to the perfect start. 3 penalties converted from the spot for him this season, and that one fairly comfortable in the face of Jake Charleston. Marko Jankovic will be the man to step up for South. The South Melbourne captain celebrating 31 laps around the sun today. Can he get South started in the shootouts? Or can Radonic stand tall? Jankovic scores! And South are on the board as well. Radonic went the right way and was very, very close indeed to getting a paw to it. But the captain stands tall for South Melbourne. Charlie Chechlats. Fremantle City's midfield maestro. Another who has scored in the regular season from the spot this year. Him versus Charleston. And Charleston saves! Well short of Chechlats' best penalty. And Jake Charleston has gone some way to atoning for his early game errors with a stop in the shootout. Went the right way. That's all he had to do. Just lift that right palm down. Chetslat's such a talented player. That was well short of his talent. So now Fremantle City are a little nervy as Geordie Swibble, South's top scorer this season, steps up and scores. A top penalty from Swibble. Again, the keeper guesses correct, but this time it's the shooter who has the last laugh. A really well-placed penalty from Swibble. And South Melbourne lead the shootouts. Up comes Fremantle's fairy tale man. Kazakhstan striker Ilyas Akhmedov. The match winner. Last time in the round of 32. And he scored a much-needed spot kick for them in this shootouts. Akhmedov saved again by Charleston. And this young keeper has gone potentially from villain to hero in the space of 120 minutes. Again, it's not the best penalty from Akhmedov. But again, Charleston still had to do the work of going the right way and making the block. And up steps Aaron Cox, whose opening goal got us going. Cox scores! A brilliant penalty from Aaron Cox. And South Melbourne now are just about there. Palpable relief wiping off the face of those South Melbourne players. Riley Woodcock with the weight of the world on his shoulders. He has to score, or Fremantle City's fairy tale is coming to a close at Lakeside. And Charleston saves! It's a veritable Lakeside miracle! Jake Charleston with 3 penalty saves in the shootouts. And this storied club writes another special chapter and are going through to the quarterfinals in the highest of drama possible.
Fremantle City won. Your Hellas are through to the Hahn Australia Cup.
Magic of the cup, it most certainly is. And Jake Charleston, who was arguably responsible for the 2 goals South conceded that led to Fremantle's comeback,
We will face the winner.
has gone from 0 to absolute hero at Lakeside. A cracker on Clarendon Street, and South Melbourne 3, Fremantle City 3. South Melbourne progress on penalties.
It's against Heidelberg United in 2 weeks on the 23rd of August at 3 p.m.
Well, what a night for South Melbourne. What's a night for Jake Charleston. South Melbourne through to the Australia Cup quarterfinals for the 3rd time in their history. That one was the hardest and nerviest and most freakily fought yet. They were 21 minutes away from elimination when Fremantle led from 2-0 down. Buljuach's penalty brought them level. We went for 50 straight minutes without either side being able to score. And then when it came to spot kicks, South Melbourne were perfect, Fremantle City were poor, and Jake Charleston came up not once, not twice, but 3 times to seal yet another cup cracker in the history of this iconic Australian football club, who will now set up a shot with one of either Brunswick Juventus or the Preston Lions. What a tie that would be in the quarterfinals. And it is the penalty demons of the Australia Cup 11 years ago. Exercise for South. They were knocked out in a 15 penalty shootout, 8-7 by the Palm Beach Sharks in 2015. But they did not put a foot wrong when it came to spot kicks. The end of the road for Fremantle City, who were the Raiders welcoming A-League opposition as well. A local South Sydney derby between them.